Hello. Today I'm going to show you a Fields Online and Kafka demonstration. So let's look at the use case. In here, I'm sending a message to a MQTT server to a particular topic, and the topic's name is transform. And then I'm going to use a Fields Online citizen integration tool and use one of its built-in connectors called Mqtt connector to retrieve the information from the MQTT topic and then do some transformation and then persist that information in Kafka. And then I'm going to use the Kafka connector again to retrieve that information from Kafka, put it through some transformation and persist that in a relational database. And then I build and deploy the web application which retrieve the information from the relational database and show it to the user. The user can search for the information using the web interface. So you may say that, well, this is such a contrived use case. It's not really that useful. But if you look at it here in more detail, it's not really a contrived use case. If you replace this MQTT server with a usual message broker, and then you replace this person or application with some, for example, bank transaction here, everything is sent into a message broker, and then did some transformation, persisted in Kafka, and then later on the information is put into a relational database. Consider this database a data warehouse. And then you can make use of the information in the data warehouse to do some more analytics. Right? This is a very common kind of setup in lots of enterprises. Remember, I talked about doing some transformations. So what sort of a transformation am I talking about? So let's have a look. So this is the original message that was sent to MQTT server. So you can see that the owner's name is, the whole name is in a single line. But what I'm going to do in the transformation is break up the single line into the first name and the last name. And then the address is actually in two lines, line 1 and line 2. So in this particular transformation, I'm going to combine the two, line 1 and line 2 into a single line address. So this kind of transformation is very common in the applications. And what about the round trip, from Kafka to relational database? So as you see in the previous slide, that this is the transformed Kafka message, right? So in here, I just map it to a relational database, like field by field, field to field, right? So this is the schema. Now let me first show you the end product. That is, I'd send some message to the MQTT server, and then I want to retrieve that information in the web application, which shows you that the message has actually gone through the whole path from MQTT via Fields Online to Kafka, and then from Kafka back to a relational database. In this particular setup, everything except the web application was done using the citizen integrated tool called Fields Online. That means, low code is required. Low coding is required. The whole thing, with the exception of web application, which is built using Java, the rest of the setup is done just by the graphical tool called Fields Online, and no code has been used or required. The whole application, all these applications has been deployed on Openshift. Now let me just show you the application itself. Now let me just go to this web interface. So I already logged in. So what I'm going to do is I change this message. right? Publish it. Now let us display all of the messages in there. You can see that there is Johnny Winter in there. Let me just send another one. So I just look for person with the name Summer, so I can locate it. Now there is an additional one. So this proves that the whole thing works. Now let us look at the Fields Online user interface. So this is the home page, right? You can see that I have several different integrations created. So the simple transformation is the one that is taking the message from the MQTT broker and persisted in Kafka. And the Kafka to Dbms is just the other way around, from Kafka and put it into the relational database. Before you can create any integration, what you have to first of all do is make a connection. So I've actually created a number of connections which are needed in this particular integrations. So first of all, the MQTT broker. If you look at it here, so if you edit it, you can see that I'm actually using a public MQTT server with the username and password already specified. And when you're creating it, you can actually do the validation here to see whether you can actually access that particular MQTT server, right? So once you validate it, then you can start using this particular broker. So there are other connections required as well. For example, is the Kafka broker. So in here, I'm just specifying the broker's URI, which is an internal Openshift service address, so I can validate it as well. Right, that covers the MQTT server and the message broker, the Kafka broker. So what about the database? So I have to actually create the configuration from the database. I'm using MySQL and I provide it with the username and password. Again, I can validate the connection before I use it. Now everything's validated. Let's just start one from the beginning. So create integration. Let's do the one for MQTT. First of all, I have to select the source. So this is the message queue, subscribe, I create select. So it's asking me for the MQTT topic name. So I just name it transform. Click on next. Next, it asks you to give it a type. So I'm going to use a XML instance. I'm going to show it an instance of what the XML looks like. Give it a time name in message, for example. Next. And then it's asked me to configure the sink, data sink. In this particular case, is the Kafka message broker. So I just select that, and there's only one function, publish. So the topic name is going to be transform. Again, it asks me for the select type. Again, it's an XML instance. And I have to give it a sample of what the XML looks like. Call it our message. Now that it know what the input message looks like and what the output message should look like, then how do you transform it from the input to the output? So what you need to do is add a step called the data mapper. So in here, just to do the simple ones first. The type is drag it under here, connect it, price, owner, number of bedrooms, map into bedrooms, number of bathrooms, map into bathroom, right? Number of garages, garage, ID is mapped to key. So now I want to change the address, combine the two lines into one. So if I click on the address, drag it to the address, and then I hold the command key and then click on line 2. So you can see that it actually going to do that for me, combine the two into one. And let's do the contact, which is the owner name. So again, I drag it to the first name, and I press on the command and click on last name. Now it will do all the mapping for me. So now it's done. So I can save it, right? But because I've already done it, so I'm not going to save it. I just cancel it because you've already seen it working. Let's have a quick look at what the Kafka to Dbms looks like. So again, you have the source, which is in this case a Kafka message broker, and the sink is database. So this is very similar to the one before. So it's taking it from the Kafka topical transform, and again I give it like a XML instance, which is the one exactly I entered in the previous integration. So let's have a look at the invoke SQL. So in here, I've actually specified the SQL statement that is going to be used, and then this maps to the name of the input. Again, I need to use a data mapper for that. You can see the data mapper is mapped to the different fields, and that's it. That's basically it. And as I said earlier, the thing to note is that everything is done using the citizen equation tool, Fields Online, which is this particular tool here, and I'm not required to write any single line of Java code. So all I need to do is do all the configuration, etc., and deploy. Thank you.